Mesa here. Welcome to the Real Man, Real Leaders podcast. Today is May 5th. Hey, fellas, students, kids, don't forget it's Mother's Day on the 10th. Because I almost forgotten. My guest here reminded me the other day at our banquet, and you're going to get to know him here in a bit. And by the way, we had an awesome banquet. We're so grateful for all the sponsorships, and of course, Dennis was with us, and he was our keynote speaker. I'm glad he came back from Kansas City to be with us. But it was a very, very successful. I want to thank the parents and all the students that attended, all the business people that attended, the college, Western Dining Services, the community college kids that help. I tell you what, it was just, they make that event happen. It takes so many people, and it takes money. And we were fortunate to get it done this year. So thank you to everybody out there. We are in for a treat. This guy's related to me, and I've often said almost like a brother, because we were able to be together often during our leadership years as a city commissioner, mayor, when he worked for Senator Brownback, then Governor Brownback, and my 2 years in Topeka. So we've got to spend a lot of time together. And let's give Dennis Mesa a warm welcome. Dennis, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
And thank you for being here. It was a joy to have you speak at the banquet. We've had nothing but positive feedback. So we're grateful for you to come back home, because Garden City's home, right?
That's exactly right. I'm born and raised here, and as you know, we were both born on the west side of Garden City. Mm-hmm. That's our roots, and a lot of good people that we grew up with in that neighborhood.
Yes. So. Tell us a little bit. I know we're related, but you're a few years ahead of me. You had 7 in your family. I had 8. But tell us a little bit about growing up in Garden City.
This goes back to what the keynote was about when I initially talked about my parents, Albert and Ann Mesa, the late Albert and Ann Mesa, and my dad, Senior. I have a brother, Albert Jr.
Yes.
But they had 7 kids, Albert, Beatrice, Carolyn, myself, Dennis, Elaine, Francine, and Jerry Ann. We had like I said, we had an angel in our family. Her name was Franny.
Yeah, Francine, I remember
special
her.
Needs.
Yeah.
She was at 13. They thought that she was going to, only live to that age, but she ended up living to 41. But she provided a lot of the foundation for our family. Definitely a very caring mom and dad. And,
yes.
And that means a lot, because anymore now, of course, it's not easy to raise a family, and yet you need a lot of help with the community. And we had a lot of good friends within the neighborhood that really helped raise us.
Yeah.
And I know you go back to that saying about it takes a village. Well, it also takes that neighborhood a little bit closer units.
I would agree with that.
And if you got in trouble down the street with your neighbor, you're going to get it twice as bad when you got home.
By the time you got home, your mom and dad knew about it.
They heard about it. And then it was a different day. And we grew up with so many different people. As I said in my keynote, Bonnie Talley lived across the street from us.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten about that.
Very well known, the Talley Trail. And she was, even though we were from different sides of the political aisle, later on, we were the best of friends. I was one of the people at the very end of her being that I was asked to be in the eulogy for her, along with a couple of others. And that meant a lot to me, but it also meant that, we've crossed a lot of bridges during our times. I did go, I heard you talking to Karen, Commissioner Lozano.
Yeah, Lozano.
And then she worked at Garden Valley.
Correct.
Well, I went to go visit the late Bonnie Talley there. And, in that interview, you talked to Karen about, sometimes people don't go visit.
No,
here you had
sad.
one of the people that was really the community bear. All the years she was Miss Garden City, Bonnie Talley was. And she even got us into the sister cities affiliations, and she was well known and well respected everywhere she went. Well, at the very end, I went to go visit her, and she was in one of those wards, and I didn't really see that many people. I was hoping that there would be a lot more people there to see her. And, the dear lady, I miss her much, because she did provide a lot of the background for leadership for a lot of us. Yeah. And, as a neighbor, a great person.
Yeah.
But we also had down the street Larry Geyer,
Yeah.
former mayor as well.
Yep.
And I heard recently, I was talking to Dr. George Hopkins.
Yes, George.
And one of your classmates.
Yes.
And he was telling me he grew up on Spencer Street, which is a block over.
Yes.
And he knew Jerry Hernandez, that's Dick Hernandez's brother, which is my contemporary. And I never knew he lived that close to us. And grew up on the west side. He was more west side than what I was, and you are. So, and
That is
you never
true.
know. Then down the street,
You never know, man.
all the way to your place, the Traveling Motel with
Yeah.
Uncle Tony. You know, we had a lot of people that were leaders and mayors, yourself, Tim Cruz.
Come from that side of town.
Oh, it was beautiful to see
You know.
it. And but we had a lot of other people in the community that helped grow the community, the Lindenbergers and
Yeah.
the Steitzes. And there was also, I talked to one of my classmates, Greta Dinas, and she said her grandma lived in that area. And we had Richard Herman, which ended up retiring from being a professor at colleges back in the East. And we had so many different touchstones with people that had, I think, that cumulative effect where you grow up in an area and then you take that wherever you go.
Right.
And then it's like a stepping stone. And it not only just sets the foundation, but it propels you
Yes.
into whatever career path you want to go into, whatever dream you want to dream. You know, you have that in your background, so you're not going to fall short.
Yeah, and you know, Dennis, all wonderful people, but even our dads themselves were kind of leaders in their own way. I mean, your dad started electrical, and he had his own company. My dad in the motel business.
Well, your dad also has cut his teeth on the political spectrum.
He did,
with
yeah.
Senator Dole.
Yeah.
And then he was very much. I think he was even a Kansas delegate.
Yeah. During the election of Ford and Dole.
Yeah, and then again, you look at all the things we had opportunities, and we just need to always not shy away from the leadership role.
Correct.
But see, how can we help learn, the areas around yourself, and then help out the candidates if you don't want to run, but at least give them some input and guidance sometimes.
Yes.
And then support them. And then understand they're also sacrificing a lot of time away from their own families. So kind of, bolster that and kind of give them the energy that it's going to take to propel them into doing great things for your community and for your family and for the future.
Yes, very well said. Let's go. Tell me a little bit about school, though. You grew up. You had an awesome class.
Yeah, we did.
When I was younger, I looked up to you and Albert. I mean, Lonnie. I don't know if Lonnie was in your class.
Yeah.
Okay, but what a great bunch of athletes, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that a little
Lonnie
bit.
and I were best men at each other's weddings. So if that says something, that tells you a lot. But we've had a lot of people that were really, not just even from the athletic, but academic. Quentin Hope.
Quentin, I remember Quentin.
With the High Plains Public Radio.
Yes.
He founded that, and that reaches into 4 states. We had Mary Martha Schreiber, who, with Schreiber Motors.
Mm-hmm.
She ended up, when she moved away to El Dorado, became state representative like yourself.
As well as your brother now.
And Mark, yes. And then part of the nexus for that is we went to school at St. Mary's Catholic School together. And I think some of that was leadership qualities. We also had an advantage, I feel, of Dominican sisters with the nuns. So, and they could be stern, and not that we didn't need it, but they could definitely help us learn what we needed to learn, be part of our educational team, and provide the educational fuel that would take us way past, elementaries into to junior highs, high school, and then on beyond. But, again, those were just 2 of the people that I grew up with. I also just told you earlier before we got on the air about a classmate, Tom Jones.
Yeah, Tom.
Tom Martin Jones. Very, very, call it quiet and demure, but he's very intelligent. He's leading a lot of different projects. Here he owns a feed yard in Montezuma, Kansas. And I think there's 50,000 head in that. And he's in charge of that. It's his. Wow. And so he brings in people from all over the country to showcase, the industry and all the different advances that have come forward. And some of them have been developed in that particular realm of Tom reaching out and then bringing all these people that know the ag industry, and then formulating different types of things that will affect the future on cattle feeding and other things. But Tom also got some of his education from Brookover, Earl Brookover. And so you had the past helping out the present and then present into the future. Tom was a big product of that. And it was so neat to see him, and he was educating me. And then at the end of the month, he's gonna entertain the K-State president coming into his realm, and then from there at the end of the month, he's going to have a big showcase. He owns a place in Council Grove, and so they're also going to bring a lot more of the people from the ag industry all over.
Wow!
And Walmart's going to be part of it because he's been working with them on some initiatives. And there's some other big major players.
Wow.
K-State also. But again, Tom Jones, part of our core group. In the athletic realm, we had...
Talk a little bit about that.
We had the Russ Boone, Steve Keller, Stuart Nelsons, Dave Foltz's, but we also had a guy named Mike Brungart.
Yeah,
and
Mike.
In our...
And we need to we need to bring back on...
he's incredible.
Yeah.
He's very quiet too, but he knows his stuff. And we, part of our senior class, we took second in state in football, basketball, and track. And then I was telling the folks in the keynote, some people might think that we were a bunch of losers. Not so. Mike Brungart, who played football, he was the monster man, linebacker. He was the one that protected me. Actually, I was the 125-pound defensive back behind him.
Yeah.
So if anybody got behind Mike,
they were coming at you.
It was over. It was all over. So then, again, Mike, from that second at state, he went up to go coach at Nebraska 2 state championships. And so from there, he ended up moving all different phases of his abilities in the strength training world. He wrote some books, but he also moved down to San Antonio, Texas. Well, guess what happened there? He joined the Spurs organization as a strength trainer, and they came on with, 5 world championships?
I think so, 5. Yeah.
It's 4 or 5, but anyway, world
a
championships.
String of them, though.
So he had the hunger, and maybe it's formed in those taking runners up.
Yeah.
You never
know.
You know, it is just a game, but sometimes it's what fuels you into saying, I think I figured it out. I think I know how to do this a little bit better, or I can find out the nexus that we might have maybe not had the proper team, including the coaches being part of that team. And he knew how to build a champion, and he was part of a championship. So
you guys had a lot of great athletes. I remember that. Was Bobby Gonzalez? No,
we called him Mancha Bob. Mancha Bob, and that's the other thing I'm going to try to work on in the future, because I don't know that he graduated from high school, Garden City High. And it was something that at the very end of his our senior year that happened, and I don't know if it's academic or what, but it should be corrected, because Bobby Gonzalez is so well known, not just within the state, but in the region and then nationally. He's coached state champions.
I know.
Championships brought him to their communities in high school, and yet so revered.
Yes.
And very well known. But he was the biggest guy on the line, and he only weighed 208 pounds.
Yeah.
I could be on that line right now. Yeah. But Bobby was the biggest guy. We had to go play in our state championship game in Bishop Ward, Kansas City. They had guys that were 288 pounds.
Oh, yeah.
And Catholic boys, but big guys. And Bobby was our biggest guy. We thought he was big, not until we got into that realm of state championship. But anyway, thanks for mentioning
I hope he comes back. We're going to try to get him on.
You got to have him.
Yeah.
He's
I'm going to get him back here. Oh, he's a wonderful person. Yeah. Hell of an athlete. Well, nationally known, state known. I mean, we want to get him back here, and that's the message we try to send these kids.
Yes.
Despite where you come from, it don't matter.
If anything, you probably have the hunger that it's going to take to get you past a lot of things that might sideline a lot of other people, because they'll just crater. You've kind of resisted the challenge all through your life. Next thing, when it's time to step up, you're ready to go, and other people will just kind of pull back. You're going to soar. Yeah,
very well said. Okay, so great school, great athletes. At some point, I know you worked at Motor Electric for a few years. Dwight Sauber, wonderful man, and our Uncle Teak was there as well. Just great people. But at some point, you had an opportunity to go to work for Senator Sam Brownback. Am I saying that right, or
actually,
how do you want to? You draw that path.
Yeah, actually,
you draw that path.
I worked there for 13, 14 years. And then I had developed 2 hernias because it was a lot of heavy lifting. We did up to 500 horsepower of motors
Yeah.
for irrigation and a lot of other types of motors. And we had a young man, we had a couple young people there, Donnie Sullivan.
I remember Donnie.
Donnie Sullivan ended up going to Galva, and he got his own business started there with rewinding motors for the oil industry. But where I got involved is because I was, kept on having these physical disabilities, if you would. Gary Williams just happened to be going past our house.
Yeah.
I was out raking, and he went by and he said, "Hey, Dennis, what are you doing?" I said, "I'm just raking." And he first, yes, I said. He said, "No, I want you to come work for me." And I said, "You're my friend. I don't want to go work for you. Friends don't work for friends." And he said, "No, you think about it. Come see me." And then eventually, I think probably my wife Lynette talked me into going at least having a visit with him. And he was the one that, when we worked in motor electric shop, we worked in the back of the shop. And Phil Escarino was working with me.
Yeah, Philip, another great guy.
Phil Escarino went on to Black Hills, Aquila, and he led like 4 or 5 different United Way campaigns for the city of Benton County. And, it was incredible how much we had that inner drive that we could never make it past the back of a shop, and it propelled us to somehow get to the front and then lead. Well, I was asked to go be in the lighting showroom. So from the back of a shop to a showroom by a guy named Gary Williams, who gave me that opportunity. And then they took me and they re-educated me on how to do lighting and know a bunch of electrical. So that developed a whole new world for me.
That's right. You ran that department for a while, didn't you?
But part of that, we had people that would sell us product. And so we would come in from the Kansas City areas and come into Garden City. Well, one of the guys that sold us product, him and his wife, Patty, and the gentleman's name was Steve Brownback. Of course, I didn't know all the politics at the time, and Sam was not a big name yet.
At that time.
He was getting ready to take off. But Sam had come in, Senator Brownback had come into Garden City, and he was running from his position into a Senate position. Well, I didn't know who he was, so I went to the meeting. Cliff Mayo, our dear friend, late friend,
great guy.
He invited me to go. Went to this meeting, and there's a lot of other people way in front. I was way in the back. I had just came from a softball practice, had a baseball cap on, and shorts and T-shirt, and I just kind of kept the low profile. Nobody knew me there. I didn't care, but I listened. And the candidate, of course, he was talking to the crowd. He was talking about different politics, and I liked the guy, and yet there were some differences I didn't know that were talked about.
Everybody has them, right?
And so, fast forward to that Monday after the weekend, and so happens that Steve Brownback, the cousin, calls me up that sells us lighting products, and he says, "Hey, what did you do this weekend?" And I told him what I did, and then I said, "But I did go to a political event." And I said, "I don't know. This guy seemed like a nice guy." And I agreed maybe 7 out of 10 ideas he had. He goes, "What was his name?" I said, "Sam Brownback." He goes, "That's my cousin." I said, "No, Steve Brownback was kind of short and pudgy." Sorry if Steve ever sees this. But Sam Brownback is tall and slender. And he goes, "Yeah, that's my cousin." I said, and I told you the same thing. I told him the same thing about agreeing with him at 7 out of 10. And then he goes, "Okay," so we went on to talk about something else. Well, fast forward to about the next week, I get a call from Mr. Brownback's secretary. And it's Denise, and she says, "Hey, Sam Brownback wants to talk to you." And I said, "What about?" And she goes, "Well, we'll let him talk to you." So then he calls me up and goes, "Hey, this is Sam Brownback," Sam. And I thought, "Oh my gosh, it is him." And then he told me that he was running a race, which I wasn't keeping up on that type of politics. And he goes, "I'm thinking that maybe I can come out and do a town hall, and I'll tell you what, even though we disagree on some things, if I win, I promise you I'm going to come look you up." And then from there, at that time, I was back. Yeah, I was on the city commission.
Yeah, I thought you were.
And we had, had done 8 years of city commission work, a couple of times as mayor, and you were on my committee. So,
right.
And so we had, a pretty good idea of how things run in Garden City, and we knew a lot of the players. Well, I think he wanted to tap into some of that knowledge that we had. so different than what, you come from Topeka or you come in from Washington, D.C.
Right.
You're not going to get the same feel that the people on the local level
That's
have.
true.
We're closer to the people, and that's what they say about government, city government specifically. But, he wanted to come in and he wanted to listen to what I had to say, and I said, okay. I'm sure I'll probably never see this guy again. And my gosh, he ended up winning.
It was the opposite.
Yeah, and so then it was just a great opportunity, not to shy away, but to step up. And we had our talks. I told him, I agree with this, and this, but on these we probably need to work on. And he gave me that audience, just him and I. And we developed friendships, and whenever it came to Western Kansas, he appointed me as his Western Kansas, and then regional director for 42 counties.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot, but I also got to meet more and more people in the rural areas. And Sam trusted whatever I said to him.
Yeah.
And it was something to have that opportunity, not only just to represent this part of the state, but also whenever we talked, that he knew whenever I was saying something, it was really
genuine,
well-grounded.
Legit, sincere.
Yes, and it was not going to be, that's the other thing I told him. So I'm not going to sugarcoat it to you. And of course, just that blunt. And he goes, I don't want you to ever shoot it. Just tell me what it's going to be, how they are, and what's the feeling. So when I go in there, I want to be truthful and then have them really, if this is what they feel, I want to know it. Don't ever, sugarcoat it. And I said, good. That's me. That's the way we are. That's the way you and I were raised.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be.
Yeah, and I didn't mean to leave out. I didn't mean to do it, but Dennis does have a history on being the city commission, and he mentioned it briefly. 2-time mayor. That ought to be some wonderful years of your life.
Yeah.
Being on the commission.
Part of that, of course, your dad was very instrumental on the high end.
Sure.
Because he had some really big players that he knew, Senator Dole and others.
It always helps, doesn't it?
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
But now here at the local level, it was so neat to be a player on this stage.
Yes.
But yet, there's so many things that we've learned, people we got to interact with. And you did a chapter with Southwest Kansas groups that you brought together, and that was genius.
Southwest Kansas Coalition, just because, we had some different, just like when you served, always had differences on transportation.
And yet, if you're all fighting for the same thing, you're going to end up with nothing.
Right.
But if you started, again,
working together,
joining your forces, then you get the notice of people in Topeka or D.C.
I want to slip in there, though, real quick. Yes, but Matt Allen was also instrumental in that, because I pitched it to him and said, what do you think about, let's approach him and he said, Reynaldo, that's probably a pretty good idea. I think we ought to maybe pursue that. Yeah. And part of it's because of his help,
Well, Matt, I think, was a prodigy because he had Bob Halloran. They had Dean White before Bob Halloran, but Matt learned from one of the best.
Yeah.
And so as an understudy, he really gained a lot from Bob. And then when I first see Matt, because you look at Matt and said, what could he know? He knows a lot. He's been through a lot
Very
of
intelligent.
different types of issues.
Yeah.
And he knows how to break it down for you.
Yeah.
He's also a very good singer, which...
Oh, I know. You brought that up.
At the night of the...
Yeah, I've heard him sing.
I did not want to sing because I saw Matt Allen right there about 20 feet away in his table with Missy. I thought, oh, no, I'm going to try to sing this to pull it off to get Reynaldo's attention. But to sing Unforgettable in front of one of the best singers that I really enjoy listening to. But anyway, Matt Allen is just a very good dear friend for all of us.
Yeah.
And I enjoyed his company.
Because we got a chance to spend a lot of time with him too on our trips to D.C. Matt's a wonderful person, very talented, very good on policy, and he fights for what he believes in.
Yeah. Well, we talked earlier about the Hispanic, the mayors and all that. Well, we had our cousin, Jim Martinez, out in Hutchinson.
Yeah, we did.
Was supposed to be the first Hispanic mayor in Kansas history, I think. But also here we had D.C. Garcia and his wife, Irene, who was also a school board member. That was cutting edge. That was way ahead of his time. Yep. But it didn't happen for another Hispanic mayor to come around for 20 more years after D.C., and that was my good fortune. But then we had a string of, within the next 15 years, I think we had a Hispanic mayor in a leading role, which I think for like Commissioner Lozano, and she's starting to replicate that same. And hopefully, you look at it and you think, golly, you had former Mayor Euler and former Mayor before that, way back, Janie Perkins. And then before that, Mayor Talley. And then I don't know if Nancy Harness ever got into the role of mayor, but she was on the commission.
She did.
And then, again, you're looking back and, Commissioner Lozano wisely said this, and I just didn't pick up to now. It is very, I think you even said, reflective of the community.
I think it's very important, Dennis, that our leadership reflects our community and shouldn't be so lopsided at times. I mean, that's the reality of things, right?
Oh, here's the other part of that. And the women are never going to be shut out from giving their opinion. I listen a lot to my wife, Lynette.
Sure.
Would tell her, we're going to do this, and then she would give me her perspective, and it was always pretty good. Mm-hmm. And I'm thinking, I raised 3 daughters, so I also raised them to be independent, and they're very independent thinkers, as you have some in your family.
That's correct.
But yet, and with Mother's Day coming up, we better pay them respect because they have earned every step of that respect. And, as I said during my keynote, that, they were the leadership that never asked to be celebrated. They were always behind the scenes, and they were with us literally from the day we were born.
Yes.
And so it's very beautiful to see more and more ladies that want to take time away from whatever they want to do in their career paths, but also to serve the community, because it takes a lot of time, as we all know, and it takes time away and sacrifice. And usually it's the woman that has to always, for whatever reason, they're taking a different role to set us up to be in our leadership role. But in reality, they're the ones that should be leading because they've done it.
As the saying goes, Dennis, every good man has a good woman. And I believe that as well. And they have an intuition we don't have, and sometimes you need to pay attention to that.
Oh, my gosh.
All us men out there, and the sons too, listen to your mother, man.
Respectfully, and I mentioned that night that I lost my wife a little bit over a year ago.
We were going to talk about that a little bit.
And she was just such a heaven sent for me. But my gosh, it's we came from 2 different cultures.
Sure.
She was a farmer's daughter from Hutchinson area, and a Hutch Blue Dragon.
Remember that?
I'm a city boy from Garden City, and Garden City Community College, Blockbuster. And so the only times we clash is when we talk about sports, but also she loved our culture. She didn't have much of impact 22 miles west of Hutch, where she grew up in a farm. But once she came out to western Kansas, it just opened up her eyes. She loved, and I had a saying way back when about Hispanics. It says, if you like our food, you're going to love our people. And it's very true.
I like that.
Because it's just a start. For some people, if you get to go like any of the restaurants and you'll see the people that get together, all of a sudden they could talk to each other. They would get familiar with each other. And then pretty soon eating the same foods, and all of a sudden, hey, what do you think about this? All of a sudden they're talking about maybe different issues, or they're at least they lower that guard. And that's one of the things. I think, again, Commissioner Lozano said this, that she made a compliment to someone about being pretty or beautiful. And it was with those ladies. Remember that?
Yes.
And when I community college ladies, and when I saw those ladies, right before I gave the keynote, they were, I think, on the volleyball team. Serbia, Croatia, and Sweden. And I thought, so I asked, there was only one left. I asked the girl, the young lady there, and I said, where are you from? I'm from Garden City. I said, and I thought I was the furthest one traveling out here from Kansas City. And then, of course, it tied in with community college.
Oh, that's
here
funny.
You can go anywhere. Well, everywhere's coming here to Garden City because we have such a unique, multicultural epicenter that everybody else sees.
Yeah.
And once they get here, they can enjoy, again, not just our food, but our people.
Yeah.
And if that's all it takes to, do that and for us to share things. Yeah. When I'm up in Kansas City, and I could just smile when I heard her talk about, just to say, give the compliments. I'll be up there in Kansas City, and it's such a big area that when I go smile to people, they're looking at, no, they don't get it.
Yeah.
But that's what we do, and then we say hi, we open the door for them, and then say, "Oh, thank you." And I said, "Well, that's what we were brought up. We don't have to say thank you."
Yeah.
And yet, we're used to it. We're used to being
That's
this
the way
close.
Western Kansas is. You know.
It's part of our demeanor. It's part of our upbringing, and sometimes we lose sight of that. When I'm up there, when I first moved up there, it's overwhelming in the Kansas City area.
Sure.
So big and big world. Well, I likened it to Holcomb, Deerfield, Lakin, Syracuse, Dighton area, Scott City, Liberal. Up there, it's Lenexa, Overland Park, Shawnee, Olathe, and a lot more people. And here in our area, it's going from town to town. Well, here you got a lot of land and a lot of livestock too, but there you've got people after people after people. You never lose it, and sometimes you get lost in identity because I think you're just part of a community.
That's a good analogy.
And you're going from 15 minutes here and you're in a different town, and sometimes you don't even get to see when you move from one town to another. And so you wonder sometimes the people get lost, and there's a lot of younger people up that way now.
Yeah.
Because they have some of the amenities we don't. Royals or the Chiefs or the just
and water, a little bit of water. People want to go fishing and so forth.
I've just never seen it because now I'm up there and it rains a lot. I can see why they have beautiful yards. Well, here we've been in a dry spell again.
Yeah, we have.
And then they keep on, when I come back this way or I hear people from back here, they say, "Pray for us. We need rain." And up there, you wake up, we had a tornado warning at 5:30 in the morning. And then from there we had flash floods. I'm thinking, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to rain and trees, and yet I miss my people here.
Back home.
I miss
Home's always home, right?
It always will be. My wife is still with me. I have her urn up there in our living room, and I told my daughters that I don't want to go all the way to Garden City to Valley View. I want to see her every day so I can say good night and good morning. And then at the end of the day, when it's time for me to go, I said, we're both going to move back to Garden City. And then we're going to be put in Valley.
You lost your wife a year ago, Lynette.
Yeah.
Was it June? Almost a
It was April 24th.
Oh, April. Okay, so it's been at least a year. We didn't really get into that, but and she had cancer, right, Dennis?
She had liver cancer. Dr. Brad Stuckey's the one that noticed it about 4 years ago, and basically he bought her more time, and then we went to. He said, "Well, I'm just going to release you to another hospital organization, and then they can take the next baton to go for treatment." So then we did. And then we actually got up to KU Med eventually.
Very aggressive cancer too, wasn't it?
Yes, it was inoperable liver cancer. Wow. But part of the good part of it was we didn't know what was causing her to have yellowish. She was getting very jaundice and very itching. And we couldn't figure it out. Well, Dr. Brad Stuckey was the one that did figure it out for us. And he said the nodes are closed on, inputs and outputs of her liver. And so they went ahead and put stents in it. Eventually opened them up and just relief right away. But she went on a clinical trial with KU Med, and it really did work out pretty good. And then, of course, when they finally had to tell her that it wasn't going to work anymore, it was sad. But yet, again, the only thing beautiful about any kind of terminal cancer or whatever it is it's not like a car wreck and you just lose them right away.
That's true.
There's been a lot of people that have suffered that fate, but this way you can at least say your goodbyes and make sure you got everything in order. Yeah. Right. And yet it's tough. It still is.
Because you have 3 other daughters. Yeah. You want to mention their names? And
the youngest is Brittany, and then we have Annie, and we have Krista, and then they're all married. We have 5 grandsons. We got the youngest.
5 grandsons, man.
Yeah, we got Jacoby and Dylan, and then we have Nicholas, Colin, and Camden, and all of them are sports.
Wow.
It's just beautiful. And then we have a granddaughter, Morgan, as well. So then it was something my daughter, Krista, always said, "Dad," I said, "you always wanted boys." I said, "I never always wanted boys. I love my daughters."
Right.
And she goes, "Yeah, but now you got 5 grandsons." I said, "Well, the girls are always drama, and the boys are so much energy." And I told this to Nicholas the other day. I take him to school, pick him up. I said, grandson, it's amazing because the time element. I'm using up time twice as fast as you are, but you don't know that, and I am. I'm getting older each time, and then you see them just kind of keep growing. You think, wow, I'm glad that we had the opportunities together, because my dad never did get to realize the grandkids. And for you lost your dad at 60,
well,
61, 62.
I was only 17 when we lost him. So
and you can't. And see, that was the other part I was going to tell you about the Real Men, Real Leaders program. The day I got here, 2 days later, I was at Patrick Dugan's, and the Hinkle family was there.
Yeah.
And it was Allison was saying to my brother and I saw the Real Men, Real Leaders group. Those kids are so great. He was telling me about the Finney County Historical Banquet.
Yeah, we helped with that.
Yeah, and it was just so beautiful, because all I had to do is say, I came here for the banquet. Didn't tell them what I was going to do here, but they said, those guys are so good. And then I went someplace else, Kleistuber. He was Kleistuber over at Richie McNaugh's building.
Yep.
And she goes, Real Men, Real Leaders. I love those guys. They helped us move these boxes. They performed a chain of box movers, and it was done with no time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they were going to hire professionally. And they just took care of it. She goes, it was so beautiful. And yet these are young people that people are noticing.
Right.
And then Rosa Sines from Golden Plains, she said that she was going to not only hears about these Real Men, Real Leader groups, but she's seen them all the way around the community.
Yeah.
And the day after the banquet, at the timeout, I was with the coffee group with usually it's McDonald, O'Bray, Christ, and Lee Reeve. And here comes the waitress. She goes, "Oh my gosh, thank you for saying all that about the moms and stuff."
Oh,
said,
she was there.
My son is part of that organization, the Real Men, Real Leaders.
Go.
And we call them up whenever he kind of gets a little bit out of line. They reset him.
Yeah.
She says that organization is priceless. And when we're doing that, here comes another lady. She's an educator, and she goes, "Those guys, those kids, those young men, they're incredible." I'm thinking, my gosh, I'm just. The small part, I just did the speech. The real leadership is here locally.
Yeah.
I said, don't forget them. Keep supporting them, and it was so beautiful to be a part of that.
Well, that's good to hear, Dennis, because you and I know you were part of getting going, helping Tim be where we're at today. But that servant leadership is huge for our kids. And you know what? I meant to say it, and I didn't say it towards the end of the banquet, but. We tell our kids not to quit. We can't quit on them then. These kids are fifth graders, boys that get in trouble time after time and time. Well, I get that. But the thing of it is to pick them back up and keep encouraging. Some boys, they're never going to get it. But if you stay with it, we help the teacher stay with it, maybe, just maybe, they'll turn the corner. And that's what we're trying to do. We can't give up on our youth. And at this level, we got to start now,
and that's part of it. I had... I went to in junior high. We had to switch over from St. Mary's into the public school system.
Sure.
And Mrs. Romani was one of
I remember her.
She was one of our.
She ruled with an iron.
Oh my gosh, she was I think she used to be a drone instructor.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it was Marines or Army, but she was tough. You don't mess with her. But at the last day of my junior high days, Herb Settles, I went to school with his son, Kevin. The late Kevin Settles, and he caught me in the hallway as I was exiting, and he goes, "Mesa," he goes, "you need to get into algebra. You're better than this math class," because I always hung with our buddies.
Wow.
And I mean, I wanted to be the cool guy and hang with them. Well, he was right. I should have got into algebra. He was trying to pull me.
Good point.
And yet I shied away again.
Good point.
Every time they would want to pull you up and point you the way. I want to hang with my buddies. At the end of the day, those buddies are long gone once you graduate.
That's right.
And that's what they got to impress on everybody. If you want to have good friendship, find those good friends now and stick with them, and you'll come out really good when you need something or somebody to help you or back you up. You'll have a good friend behind you, but watch out for anybody else that's trying to dissuade you and move you towards.
Yeah, and we've all been down that road, even myself.
Well, again, we get a reset from our wives and our
families.
If you don't have that family unit, if you don't have a positiveness somewhere, Girl Scouts, 4-H, Real Men, Real Leaders, She Leads. There's so many different positive avenues that they can go to now, and it's not going to be somebody over here just waiting for their time to get into your household and pull that youth towards them, and so they could take care of their wants and needs, which are very despicable.
Yeah, absolutely, Craig. But a very good point, though, because that has a tendency, I think, for all our. That's why we do the work at this level to try to get hey, you got great friends. And you're going to have friends that you don't want to hang out with because you're going to lead you down the wrong path. And we tell the kids too that, you can have all the motivation, but if you don't have a little bit of discipline to create good habits, that's what it is create good habits and having the discipline to carry on. And sometimes you got to tell, I can't go, man. I've got to study. I can't go. I've got to read. I can't go. I got to go to class, so.
But again, I know, I understand for the youthful indulgences that you want to go do things because it's more fun. Yeah, I get it. But there's times when you really got to crack the butts and then be part of that team that's going to educate you in that school year, get you more educational feel for your system, and then propels you to the next grade, the next grade, the next grade. And, Ronnie Lopez, one of our dearest friends.
Yeah.
Is he a classmate of yours?
He's older, about a year older. He's a year older than me.
Chemical chemistry, engineering, very brilliant. He was telling me a bunch of stories about how you put the right people in the room, and it's not always the people that have the MIT or the big Harvard degree, Ivy League.
Exactly.
He said it's other people that you put together, and he said it's not. He doesn't call them failures; he calls them challenges. And the more of those you have, you're about one day away from success.
Yes.
You got to remember, don't quit early, but do your homework and do all this stuff here and know where you're going to head. And then it doesn't work. Okay, one more day, it could be this next thing. And I think he has like 14 patents that he's worked on. And there's been other people in the community, the Lindenbergers. Michael Lindenberger, he's a doctor out on the West Coast. Very brilliant young man. He's in the High School Hall of Fame. I talked to Mary Jo, his sister, and she said like all the boxes of letters he got. He came from St. Mary's. He came from, just again, the same pathway a lot of us did.
Very humble beginnings.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
Craig Schaefer, same one.
Yeah, I remember
They
Craig.
had boxes and boxes of letters from all the biggest schools all over the nation.
Wow.
And, Garden City, St. Mary's again, high school. We have those people here, and then that just propelled them into very much a successful existence today. And you think, wow, if we can just keep on nurturing that youthful vitality and getting people not to go to the negative sense, but keep on positively sending that message. If they're beautiful, tell them they're beautiful.
Right.
Don't shy away. If they're brilliant, tell them they're brilliant.
Right.
But let them know that they're
right.
That can turn from a negative day to a very positive. It gives them a lift, and we all need to be cognizant of that these kids are just like we were, and
we were little guys at one time.
Oh my gosh, we got so lucky at times, and yet I said this that night, there are things and places where we need to be, and they're God sent. Where a lot of us, we think we're just going happy-go-lucky, and maybe some of us are, but things happen for certain reasons. They put people in your lives, and you need to listen to them. And I've had the very good fortune. We've had the very good fortune.
Both of us,
and Edgar has very good fortune of seeing people in his current life that can change his pathway.
Absolutely.
And even though you may not have all the money in the bank, you don't need all the money in the bank.
You don't need all the money.
When it comes to at the end of the day, and I can't remember who said this, but they said something about you'll never see a U-Haul at the end of a hearse, procession.
I can't recall who said that.
But you can't take it with you. So what are you doing? Once you build up all your positiveness, build up all your wealth and your families and things that really mean something
that
to
matter.
you.
Yeah.
And then that will, your legendary, your existence, your fame, whatever, that's going to be your fortune, because it's not going to be in a bank or a credit union. It's going to be there.
I think Denzel Washington said that. I think.
It's very possible. I've listened to a lot of
I do too.
people.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was trying to think of the young man from here. Oh no, he's not from here. His grandpa lives here. He just gave a pick-me-up type speech. I know at Golden Plains the other day. Oh my gosh, he used to play for Iowa State. He was a cheerleader on the bench.
Holly? Yeah.
Yes, Holly.
He talked to our kids.
Oh my gosh,
Conrad. We just had him
brilliant
in.
young man. And here's a guy that was not just MVP, but he was the MVP for 2 states.
Yeah, I know.
Missouri and Kansas. And he thought, he was the big shot.
He thought it was a big deal,
Guess what happened?
Until he got humbled.
And then his mom got after it, and again, Mother's Day, and told him he's not going to sit around. He was not going to eat cream puffs like I do every day. But she got lit a fire under him. She lit a fire under him and propelled him into now giving speeches all over the nation, if not the world.
Doing it, yeah.
And he's being listened to. And, he is a success. He's going to score a lot more championships away from the court.
Oh, absolutely.
And then inspire others to not think like he had done and dug himself on the bench because he was learning well. They had.
Yeah, what we learned from him, Dennis, too, was the fact that he thought he was a big shot until things didn't pan out like he wanted them to. It really humbled him. And then his mother said, hey, man, you ain't going to stay on the couch. You're going to get your butt up and get after it. Because he was kind of feeling sorry for himself, Get your ass up. Let's go, man. Excuse my language. And that's what it took. But look what it transformed him,
It did. And yet that same person is going to transform other people because they're going to say, I'm working my way up. I want to be the best of my team. It's not always what's on the court or on the field.
That's right.
And that type of success, those plaques or those awards, they tarnish after a while. And then you thought, well, what did you end up with? Well, you got a bunch of plaques on the wall, but what's meaningful about that?
Right.
Then you go back to your team mates and you start to find out what they did in their afterlife, after sports that they coveted. Well, hopefully a lot of them found success, but some of them, blew their money.
That's right.
They had their friends, friends that hung around with them because they had money. Well, they burned through all that money, and next thing you know, they're poor and destitute.
That's right.
And they don't have the brain now to go function after college.
Right.
To feel for them, but yet that's another lesson that they're learning.
Yeah.
But again, Conrad Hawley is just
wonderful,
super person. I learned a lot from when I walk into a room today. I have a lot of stuff I've learned in my background, but I want to be a good listener. I want to surround myself with some of the most good people.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are really smart people, but you got to be quiet and listen to them and not just
good point.
Say where you've been. I did this. No, you've done nothing. Listen to what this guy's telling you or this lady's telling you.
Well, we all have stories, right? And the more we share those stories and be quiet and listen, that's our problem. We all want to put our 2 cents in right away. And the best thing you can is the good Lord gave us 2 years, right?
That's it.
So, and 1 tongue. So, hey, we're going to take a short break. Is that okay, Edgar? Yeah. And then we'll come back because I want to mention about, we'll wrap things up. Mentions a little bit about El Zarape, and then we'll wrap it up with Dennis, and that's it. So we'll be right back. Are we good?
Well.
Okay, welcome back to the Real Man, Real Leaders podcast. Hey, before we end here with Dennis, I want to mention El Zarape. Great people, Eileen Miguel Rodriguez, have a wonderful product, been selling hot sauce for years. You see them in the grocery stores. They have great chips. We want to holler out them and tell them thank you. And if you're interested in sponsoring our podcast, get a hold of me. Get a hold of Edgar. You can give us a call. You can look us up at www.realmanrealleaders.org. Is that correct, Edgar? Because sometimes I screw things up. But anyway, look us up. We'd love to have you sponsored. It does cost money to produce this kind of stuff. So, and we can promote you and get you out there and let people know whether it's a service or product or whatever business you're in, we can certainly help you promote that. So Well, Dennis, man, it's been a very
I'm glad you said this because I thought we were going to do a Hot Ones challenge. We'll
get the chips out of there.
I can't do this, man.
Right here on the
Cut me.
That is a good idea.
Oh, no, yeah. There you go. We got a sponsor right there. Bring the chips on.
But it's been a joy having you, cousin.
I love you.
Yeah, I love you too. And thank you for coming back to the banquet. This is always home and sharing. And we do this because, there's a lot of big people we can bring in. That's not the point. We need people, to your point earlier about, it's these people that kind of get caught in the middle or unassuming, right? Yeah. You're unassuming that rise to the top and they don't allow obstacles or their circumstances stop them. And I think we've all had, even Edgar, the photographer that he is in the studio here.
The man.
So we're very fortunate. But before we leave, anything you would share with the young people today on leadership? You have any thoughts about that? Or
I think sometimes it's a cross message. It's also to their guardians, their parents, those that have a role of being older than them, than the youth, is let's try to set a more positive standard for them. In our everyday life, we watch TV. We have so many different pit this group against that group.
Yes,
and it's always so negative.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which side of the political aisle you're on, because you're not going to be winners at the end. You're going after each other. Mm-hmm. The children are coming right through the living rooms and watching what you're watching, and all they're doing is things that are basically hate-filled, and they're getting to so many things that are being sold to them in product form, whether it be gambling and other things, and you see the liquors and the alcohols and all that. For the older people that have that age, they can do that, but we've got to watch out what we're telling, what we're training, what we're trying to educate our own youth. That is our future. Don't send them mixed messages. Send messages of being positive. Compliment them from time to time. Show them different things on how they can help you cook in the kitchen or help you just do chores around the house. And then, help them go out in the community and support them. Be part of the scouting organization. Be part of Real Men, Real Leaders.
Yes.
She Leads. Yes. Or 4-H. If they're into music at the schools, encourage that.
Correct.
Let them find their own pathway too, and encourage them in that. Stay positive, and even if they're not going to bring home that trophy, who cares? Give them that chance to try something different, and then don't be critical. We're not always going to have a state championship plaque on the wall,
right?
But just nurture that positiveness and remember what it was like when you were younger. Hopefully that you had someone that mentored you and helped lead you to your path of success.
Yeah.
That's all I've got to say.
Excellent point. Excellent point, because words do matter, and words can be, they're very powerful. There's power in the tongue, so you got to be very careful to how we speak to our children. You're absolutely correct. We appreciate you, man. I love you.
Love you too.
I wish you well. Godspeed. I know you're going to take off tomorrow, and thank you once again.
Garden City's always home, Reynaldo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ed.
Well, thank you. Yeah, Edgar. Thank you, Edgar, again. Hey, thank you for joining us. We will have another podcast in the future. Not sure the guest is going to be, but you'll find that out when we have one. So thank you for joining us. God bless you. Have a good rest of your week. And remember, Mother's Day.
Day.
Right? That's good.